First light. Dr. Maya Patel stared at the holographic display floating above her desk, its soft blue light illuminating the otherwise dim laboratory. The quantum signatures were unmistakable. Dark matter wasn't just passing through regular matter as previously thought. It was dancing with it, creating microscopic bridges across space-time. "Run it again, ARIA," she commanded the lab's AI system, her voice barely above a whisper. The simulation repeated, showing the same remarkable result. Dark matter particles, when properly excited by their quantum resonance engine, created stable wormhole-like structures at the subatomic level. The discovery would change everything if she could prove it worked beyond the quantum scale. Dr. Patel, the voice of her research partner, Dr. James Rodriguez, broke through her concentration. "You need to see this. It's all over the news." Maya minimized her simulation and pulled up the news feed. Her heart nearly stopped as she saw the headline. "Breaking. Artificial signal detected from Proxima Centauri. First contact initiative activated." The feed showed grainy telescope footage of what appeared to be an artificial structure in orbit around Earth's nearest stellar neighbor. After decades of searching, humanity had finally found proof they weren't alone. "The timing couldn't be worse," Maya muttered, running her fingers through her dark hair. Their dark matter drive research was still classified at the highest levels. Only a handful of people knew they were months away from achieving practical faster-than-light travel. The lab's secure comm system chirped. "Dr. Patel, this is General Sarah Martinez. The First Contact Initiative needs you in Washington. Immediately." Maya exchanged glances with James. They both knew what this meant. The military was worried about technological disparities between humanity and whoever had sent that signal. "I'll be there in an hour," Maya replied, already gathering her data crystals. "But General, they need to know about the breakthrough." "Agreed. Bring everything." The next 12 hours passed in a blur of high-level briefings and heated debates. Maya found herself in the Pentagon's Situation Room, surrounded by the highest-ranking military and civilian leaders on Earth. The initial message from the alien civilization, calling themselves the Hegemony, had been decoded. "They're offering to guide us into the galactic community," General Martinez explained, her expression grim. "But their terms are concerning." The holographic display showed the full message. The Hegemony claimed authority over this sector of space, maintaining order through strictly controlled technological advancement. All new species were required to follow their predetermined path of development. "They're coming to evaluate us," the Secretary of Defense added. "In 6 months, they'll arrive to assess our readiness for limited contact. Until then, we're to cease all advanced research and prepare for integration into their hierarchy." Maya stood, her hands shaking slightly as she connected her data crystal to the room's display system. "Then they need to see this first." The simulation sprang to life, showing the dark matter drive's theoretical capabilities. Unlike conventional propulsion, or even the Hegemony's known faster-than-light technology, their system didn't push against space-time. It wove through its fabric, using dark matter as a cosmic thread. 3 days ago, we achieved stable quantum-scale transport," Maya explained. "With the new quantum processors coming online next month, we can begin full-scale testing. We estimate we'll have a working prototype drive within 4 months." The room erupted in overlapping conversations. Some argued for immediately revealing their breakthrough to the Hegemony. Others insisted on keeping it secret until the technology was proven. "Dr. Patel," the president's voice cut through the chaos. "What do you recommend?" Maya took a deep breath, considering the implications. The Hegemony's message had made it clear they expected compliance with their technological hierarchy. Revealing humanity's quantum leap in physics understanding might be seen as a threat. "We continue the research," she said firmly, "but we do it quietly. When they arrive, they'll expect to find a primitive species barely achieving conventional spaceflight. Let them think that, while we prepare to show them humanity's true potential." The president nodded slowly. "Very well. General Martinez, You'll oversee the acceleration of Dr. Patel's project. Code name, Dark Star. As for the rest of the world, she turned to her communications director. Tell them we're honored to receive the Hegemony's guidance. Let them think we're exactly what they expect to find. The next 4 months were the most intense of Maya's life. The Dark Star facility, hidden beneath the Rocky Mountains, became her new home. Teams worked around the clock, transforming theoretical physics into engineering reality. The prototype drive took shape, a masterpiece of human ingenuity combining quantum computing, dark matter manipulation, and artificial intelligence. They named the test vessel Aurora, after the dawn they hoped it would bring to human spaceflight. Maya stood in the control room, watching through reinforced windows as the Aurora powered up for its first full-scale test. The ship itself was small, barely larger than a fighter jet, but its potential was enormous. Dark matter matrix stable, ARIA reported. Quantum field generators online. Ready for initial jump test. Maya's fingers flew across the holographic controls, making final adjustments. The mathematics were perfect, the simulations flawless. Now came the moment of truth. Execute jump sequence, she commanded. The Aurora shimmered, its outline becoming indistinct as dark matter fields wrapped around it. For a fraction of a second, it existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Then, with a flash of purple light, it vanished. Target achieved, ARIA announced. Aurora has successfully materialized at the testing zone near Jupiter. Total transit time, 0.3 seconds. The control room erupted in cheers. They'd done it. Achieved faster than light travel using principles the Hegemony hadn't even conceived of. Maya allowed herself a small smile as she looked at the confirmation data. Humanity had just changed the rules of the game. In 2 months, the Hegemony would arrive expecting to find a primitive species ready to be guided. Instead, they'd discover that humans had blazed their own trail to the stars. Her quantum pad chimed with an urgent message from the Deep Space Monitoring Network. The Hegemony ships had been detected entering the solar system, 2 months ahead of schedule. Maya's smile faded as she read the message. The game was about to begin sooner than they'd planned. But perhaps that was for the best. After all, humanity had always performed best under pressure. General Martinez, she called over the secure line. We need to accelerate the timeline. They're here. The general's response was immediate. The Aurora? Ready for combat testing, if necessary. Good, because something tells me we're going to need it. Report to the Pentagon. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. Maya took one last look at the data streaming in from the Aurora's successful test. The Hegemony thought they were coming to guide a primitive species. Instead, they were about to learn that humanity had never been very good at following other people's rules, especially when it came to pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The dawn of a new era was approaching, and this time, humanity would help write its rules. The protocol breakers. Captain David Chen stood at the viewport of the TSV Aurora, watching the Hegemony ships arrange themselves in a perfect hexagonal formation around Earth's orbit. Their vessels were beautiful in a conventional way, all sleek lines and gleaming metal, exactly what you'd expect from a spacefaring civilization. The Aurora, by comparison, looked almost crude with its dark matter containment rings and quantum field projectors exposed like raw nerves. Status report, he commanded, turning to face his small but elite crew. Lieutenant Sarah Wong, his tactical officer, responded without taking her eyes off her holographic display. 6 Hegemony capital ships, each approximately 3 kilometers in length. Energy readings suggest their weapons are powered down, but their shields are at maximum. They're not here for a fight. Communications officer Marcus Rodriguez added. At least, they don't think they are. Latest transmission still requests our peaceful submission to evaluation protocols. David allowed himself a grim smile. The Hegemony had no idea what they were actually dealing with. 2 decoy ships, outdated vessels deliberately placed in high orbit, were maintaining contact with the aliens. Meanwhile, the Aurora waited in the shadow of the moon, its dark matter drive making it completely invisible to conventional sensors. His quantum pad buzzed with an encrypted message from Dr. Maya Patel. They're making their move. 3 shuttles just launched toward the Sydney Research Institute. They're after our quantum computing facilities. Just as we predicted, David muttered. The hegemony's evaluation protocols were nothing more than a thinly veiled excuse to assess, and if necessary, confiscate any technology they deemed too advanced for humanity's assigned level. All hands to battle stations, he ordered. But maintain emission silence. Let's see what they do first. The crew watched as the hegemony shuttles descended through Earth's atmosphere. Their arrogance was palpable. They hadn't even bothered to request permission for the landing. According to their protocols, primitive species didn't need to be consulted about such matters. David's quantum pad buzzed again. This time, it was General Martinez. Protocol breaker is go. Show them what humanity can do, Captain. About time, David said, straightening his uniform. Lieutenant Wong, power up the dark matter drive. Mr. Rodriguez, prepare to broadcast on all frequencies. Ms. Park, plot an intercept course that will put us between those shuttles and Sydney. The Aurora hummed to life, its quantum core pulsing with energy that defied conventional physics. Dark matter swirled around the ship's hull, visible only as a slight distortion in the starfield. On my mark, David commanded. Execute quantum jump. The ship shimmered, existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously before resolving into a single point in space, directly in the path of the descending hegemony shuttles. Broadcast our message, David ordered. Marcus's fingers danced across his console. Channel open. Sir. David stood tall, his voice clear and firm. Hegemony vessels, this is Captain David Chen of the Terran space vessel Aurora. You are conducting an unauthorized insertion into Earth's atmosphere. Return to orbit immediately. The response was almost immediate, tinged with both surprise and dismissal. Unknown vessel, your interference is not recognized. Under Hegemony Protocol 7249, we are conducting a standard evaluation of pre-contact species. Your presence suggests unauthorized technological development. Stand down and prepare for immediate inspection. I don't think so, David replied. Lieutenant Wong, activate quantum field barriers. A sphere of distorted space-time enveloped the Aurora, its surface rippling like oil on water. The Hegemony shuttle sensors would be going crazy trying to understand what they were seeing. Impossible, the Hegemony commander transmitted. Your energy signature. This technology is not permitted at your development level. David allowed himself a small chuckle. That's the thing about humanity. We don't wait for permission to innovate. This is your final warning. Return to orbit, or we will demonstrate exactly how far beyond your permitted level we've gone. The shuttles continued their descent, their engines flaring as they attempted to maneuver around the Aurora. They're not going to back down, Sarah reported. Detecting weapon systems powering up. David nodded. Very well. Let's show them what the Aurora can really do. Execute maneuver pattern Delta. The ship responded instantly, its dark matter drive allowing it to exist in multiple positions simultaneously before resolving into a new location behind the shuttles. Before the Hegemony pilots could react, quantum-based tractor beams locked onto their vessels. As you can see, David transmitted, your understanding of physics might need some updating. We'll be happy to escort you back to orbit. The Hegemony capital ships in orbit suddenly powered up their weapons, their formation tightening. This is High Commander Zextal. A new voice thundered across the communications channel. Your species has violated fundamental protocols of technological development. Prepare for immediate containment and technology seizure. David opened a secure channel to Earth Command. General Martinez, looks like they want to do this the hard way. Understood, Captain, the general replied. The rest of the fleet is ready. Show them what one Aurora-class ship can do. David turned to his crew. You heard the general. Lieutenant Wong, Power up all systems. Mr. Rodriguez, send them our terms. Ms. Park, plot quantum jump points throughout their formation. It's time to demonstrate why humanity doesn't need their protocols. The Aurora's quantum core pulsed brighter, dark matter swirling around the ship like a storm. The hegemony was about to learn that their carefully ordered universe had just become much more complicated. All hands, David announced, prepare for combat. Let's show the galaxy that humanity writes its own rules. The next few minutes would either establish humanity as a force to be reckoned with or, well, David didn't believe in no-win scenarios. Neither did humanity. That's what the hegemony was about to learn, one quantum jump at a time. Service console lit up with warning signals. Multiple weapons locks from the capital ships, Captain. They're charging their main batteries. David smiled. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted them to do. Initiate protocol breaker sequence. Let's show them why you should never underestimate human ingenuity. The battle for humanity's technological independence was about to begin, and David Chen intended to make it one the hegemony would never forget. Ripples in the dark. Dr. Maya Patel's fingers flew across the quantum interface as she analyzed the battle telemetry from the Aurora. What she saw both thrilled and terrified her. Each activation of the dark matter drive was leaving something behind. Microscopic tears in the fabric of space-time that seemed to resonate with something else. AI, she called to the AI. Analyze pattern sequence Delta 9. Focus on the quantum echoes after each jump. The laboratory's holographic display filled with cascading data. The Aurora's confrontation with the hegemony fleet had been more than just a demonstration of superior technology. It was inadvertently proving her darkest theories about the nature of reality itself. Her quantum pad chimed with an urgent message from Captain Chen. The hegemony's retreating. But you need to see this. Sending data now. The feed showed the aftermath of the battle. The Aurora had danced through the hegemony formation, its dark matter drive allowing it to appear and disappear at will, neutralizing their weapons with precisely calculated quantum field disruptions. But it was what happened after each jump that caught Maya's attention. The tears in space-time weren't healing as predicted. Instead, they were growing, creating a network of quantum-entangled points throughout the solar system. And something was responding to them. Dr. Patel. The voice made her jump. A tall, elegant alien stood in her laboratory doorway, flanked by General Martinez and heavily armed guards. Its iridescent scales marked it as a member of the hegemony scientific elite. I am Chief Researcher Vexley, the alien said, its translator giving its voice an almost musical quality. We need to talk about what you've done, about what you've awakened. Maya's hand moved instinctively to the emergency beacon on her wrist. How did you get clearance to be here? Because, General Martinez interjected, what they just shared with us changes everything. The hegemony didn't create their technological hierarchy out of arrogance, Dr. Patel. They created it out of fear. Vexley moved to the holographic display, its long fingers tracing the patterns of quantum disturbance. Your dark matter drive. It's not just faster than light travel. It's doing exactly what the precursor's technology did, just before they vanished. Maya's heart raced. Precursors. A civilization that existed long before the hegemony, Vexley explained. They too discovered how to manipulate dark matter, how to weave through the quantum fabric of space. And then, one day, they all disappeared. Every single one of them. Across thousands of worlds, gone in an instant. The laboratory's lights flickered as another burst of data came in from the Aurora. The quantum tiers were still growing, forming patterns that looked almost deliberate. Captain Chen reports unusual energy readings throughout the fleet, Araya announced. The quantum disturbances are becoming more pronounced. Maya's screens filled with new data. The tiers weren't just growing. They were beginning to resonate with dark matter concentrations throughout the galaxy. Like ripples in a cosmic pond, each activation of the Aurora's drive was sending waves through the quantum substrate of reality itself. The precursors weren't destroyed. Vexley said softly. We believe they made contact with something. Something that exists in the spaces between conventional matter. Something that your drive is now calling to. General Martinez stepped forward. The hegemony's requesting an immediate cessation of all dark matter drive testing. They're offering to share everything they know about the precursors in exchange. Maya shook her head, her mind racing with implications. It's too late for that. Look at these readings. The quantum network is already established. Whatever's out there, it's already aware of us. Her quantum pad suddenly lit up with urgent messages from observation posts throughout the solar system. Massive dark matter concentrations were appearing everywhere, swirling into patterns that defied known physics. Captain Chen, to all stations. The Aurora's commander's voice crackled through the emergency channel. We're detecting something massive emerging from the quantum tiers. Multiple contacts, unlike anything we've seen before. The laboratory's main screen showed the feed from the Aurora's sensors. Enormous structures were taking shape in the void, their geometry impossible to comprehend with human eyes. They seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, dark matter coursing through them like blood through veins. They're here, Vexley whispered, a mixture of awe and terror in its voice. The ones who took the precursors. The ones we've been trying to prevent anyone else from contacting. Maya watched as more quantum tiers opened throughout the solar system. The dark matter drive hadn't just revolutionized space travel. It had rung a bell that couldn't be unrung. Humanity's reach for the stars had attracted the attention of something far beyond their comprehension. General, she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, we need to get the Aurora back here now. And contact the hegemony fleet. Tell them we need everything they know about the precursors immediately. Already done, Martins replied. But Dr. Patel, what exactly are we dealing with? Maya studied the patterns forming in space, her mind struggling to comprehend their implications. I don't think we're dealing with aliens, General. At least, not in any way we understand the term. I think we're dealing with the architects of dark matter itself, and they want to talk. The quantum tiers continue to spread, creating a web of connection points throughout the solar system. Humanity had wanted to prove itself to the galaxy. Instead, they had attracted the attention of something far more significant than the hegemony had ever imagined. Captain Chen, Maya called over the quantum link. Bring the Aurora back. We're going to need its dark matter drive for what comes next. And Vexley, I think it's time you told us everything you know about the precursors. Because whatever they discovered, whatever they became, I think we're about to find out firsthand. The ripples they had created in the dark matter sea were becoming waves, and something ancient and vast was riding those waves straight to Earth's doorstep. The silent stars. Captain David Chen stood in the Aurora's quantum lab, staring at the holographic representation of what they'd begun calling the network, the vast web of quantum tiers now connecting various points throughout the solar system. But he wasn't alone. Beside him stood Kuvul, a rogue hegemony scientist whose very presence on the ship violated at least a dozen protocols. Your Dr. Patel's calculations are correct, Kuvul said, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the light as he moved. The precursors didn't vanish. They transcended. Into what? David asked, watching as new tiers formed spontaneously, the network growing more complex by the hour. Into something beyond our comprehension, Kuvul replied. But perhaps not beyond yours. Your species. You think differently. You see patterns we miss. The ship's AI interrupted them. Captain, Dr. Patel is requesting your presence in the main lab. She says it's urgent. David found Maya surrounded by floating displays, her eyes wild with excitement or fear, possibly both. The dark matter readings from the network had begun forming complex mathematical sequences. They're trying to communicate, she said without preamble. The patterns, they're not random. They're a language written in quantum mechanics. Can you decode it? Not alone. Maya gestured to Kuvul. That's why I needed both of you here. The hegemony has been studying the precursor artifacts for millennia. And now we have active contact through the network. Kavol moved to one of the displays, his crystalline fingers tracing the patterns. These sequences, they're similar to inscriptions found in precursor ruins, but these are alive, dynamic. They're reaching out. The Aurora's sensors suddenly blared an alert. Throughout the network, the quantum tiers were pulsing in unison, dark matter flowing through them like blood through veins. Message from Earth Command, the ship's AI announced. Similar phenomena are being reported across all human colonies. The network is growing exponentially. David watched as new data poured in. The Hegemony fleet had withdrawn to a safe distance, but their sensors were still focused on Earth and the Aurora. They were waiting, watching to see what humanity would do next. "Captain," Kivol said quietly, "there's something I haven't told the others. Something only a few in the Hegemony know." He pulled out a small crystalline device. "This contains the true records of our first contact with precursor technology. The reason we created the technological hierarchy." The device projected a series of images, ancient space stations, massive ships, and finally, recordings of what happened when the Hegemony first attempted to use salvaged precursor dark matter technology. "The transcendence wasn't instant," Kavol explained. "The first signs were exactly like this, a network of quantum tiers, growing, connecting, reaching out. But when the precursors answered the call, they had a choice to make." Maya leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the recordings. What kind of choice? To remain as they were, bound by conventional physics and mortality, or to become something else entirely, to join with the fundamental forces of the universe itself. David felt a chill run down his spine. And they chose to transcend. All of them, Kavol confirmed. An entire civilization, choosing to become something beyond our understanding of life itself. The Hegemony. We were afraid. Afraid that if we let other species develop too quickly, they might make the same choice, might make contact with whatever the precursors became. The ship shuddered as another wave of quantum disturbances washed through the network. The patterns were becoming more complex, more insistent. "They're not just trying to communicate," Maya whispered. "They're inviting us to join them." David looked at the displays, at the beautiful and terrifying mathematics of transcendence writing itself across space-time. "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe," Kavol said. "Once the network reaches critical complexity, you'll have to choose. Either shut down all dark matter technology and close the tiers, or accept the invitation," Maya finished. The quantum pad on David's wrist chirped, a message from Earth Command. The Hegemony had finally broken their silence, sending a transmission to every human colony and ship. "They're offering us membership," David read aloud. "Full, immediate acceptance into the Hegemony, along with all their technological database. In exchange, we shut down the dark matter drive and help them close the network." Maya laughed, though there was little humor in it. "They're that afraid of what might happen." "They're afraid of losing control," Kavol corrected. "Afraid of what humanity might become if you answer the call of the precursors." Another alert sounded. More quantum tiers opening. The network growing denser, more complex. The mathematics of transcendence were writing themselves across the solar system, offering humanity a choice that would define their species forever. "Captain," the ship's AI announced, "we're receiving a transmission through the network itself. It's unlike anything in our databases." The message appeared on the main screen, not in words or images, but in pure mathematics. Maya gasped as she began to decode it. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "They're showing us everything. What they were, what they became, what we could be." David looked at Kavol. "Why us? Why now?" The alien scientist's crystalline form sparkled as he studied the equations. "Because you did something no other species has done since the precursors. You didn't just discover dark matter technology. You understood it. You sought it not as a tool to be used, but as a fundamental truth to be explored." The ship shuddered again as more quantum tiers opened. The network was approaching critical complexity. Soon, Humanity would have to make its choice, remain as they were, or step into an existence they couldn't possibly comprehend. "Captain," Maya said softly, "we need to make a decision. The network, it's not just growing anymore. It's becoming something else. Something more." David Chen stood at the threshold of the greatest decision in human history. Behind them lay the known, the comfortable, the hierarchical stability of the hegemony. Ahead, transcendence into something beyond their understanding. The stars had been silent for so long. Now they were speaking again, and humanity had to decide whether to answer. Beyond the veil, the aurora hung in space at the heart of the network, quantum tears swirling around it like a cosmic web. On the bridge, Captain David Chen watched as humanity's colonies cast their votes one by one. The choice that lay before them would reshape not just their species, but their very understanding of existence itself. Mars colony votes to proceed, Lieutenant Wang announced. Luma Base concurs. Titan Station, also voting to proceed. Dr. Maya Patel stood beside David, her hands dancing across the quantum interface as she continued to decode the mathematical language of the precursors. The equations weren't just calculations, they were a roadmap to transcendence, a guide to evolving beyond the constraints of conventional physics. "The hegemony fleet is moving," Marcus reported from Tactical. "They're taking up attack positions." Kvol's crystalline form shimmered with anxiety. "They'll try to stop this. The hierarchy must be maintained. That's been their doctrine for millennia." The quantum tears pulsed with increasing intensity, the network approaching critical complexity. Through the mathematical patterns, the precursors were showing humanity glimpses of what awaited them. An existence where consciousness and dark matter intertwined, where thought and reality became one. "Final colony reporting in," Wang announced. "The vote is unanimous. Humanity chooses to proceed." David opened a channel to the hegemony fleet. "This is Captain Chen. Your attack would be futile. The network has already reached critical complexity. Whatever happens next, it's beyond any of our control now." High Commander Zextel's voice crackled through the comm. "You don't understand what you're doing. The stability of the galaxy depends on order, on controlled progress. What you're about to attempt, it could unravel everything." "No," Maya interrupted, her voice firm. "What we're about to do is exactly what the universe intended. The precursors didn't vanish because they made a mistake. They evolved because they were ready. And now, we are too." The network's pulses grew stronger, dark matter swirling through the quantum tiers in complex patterns. On the Aurora's screens, the mathematical language of transcendence wrote itself across space-time, showing them the way forward. "Dr. Patel," David said softly, "are you sure about this?" Maya's fingers traced the equations floating before her. The precursors discovered that consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon. They found a way to merge it with dark matter, to evolve beyond physical form. They're not gone. They became part of the fundamental fabric of the universe itself. And now, they want us to join them, Kval added, his crystalline form resonating with the network's pulses. The hegemony fleet's weapons powered up, energy readings spiking across the tactical displays. But before they could fire, something extraordinary happened. The network began to sing. It wasn't sound in any conventional sense. It was pure mathematics, the language of quantum mechanics expressed through oscillations in dark matter. The equations showed them everything. The true nature of consciousness, the interconnectedness of all things, the way forward to something greater. "They're afraid," Kval said, indicating the hegemony fleet. "Not of us, but of change itself. They've spent so long maintaining their hierarchy, they've forgotten how to evolve." Maya's eyes widened as new patterns emerged in the network. "It's happening. The quantum resonance is reaching critical threshold. Captain, it's time." David looked at his crew, humans who had pushed the boundaries of physics, who had dared to dream beyond the possible. "Send the signal to all colonies. Begin quantum synchronization." The Aurora's dark matter drive pulsed in harmony with the network. Across the solar system, similar drives on every human colony and ship activated, creating a cascade of quantum resonance that rippled through spacetime itself. "Hegemony fleet is firing," Marcus shouted. But their weapons passed harmlessly through the Aurora, its matter already beginning to shift states, existing simultaneously in multiple quantum realities. "We're not leaving," Maya announced, understanding flowing through her as the transformation began. "We're becoming something more, something that can exist in all states simultaneously, that can perceive and interact with every layer of reality." The network's song reached a crescendo. Through the quantum tiers, they could see them now. The precursors, not as beings of matter and energy, but as patterns in the quantum fabric of space itself. They had become one with dark matter, with consciousness, with reality itself. And they were welcoming humanity to join them. "Look," Kavol whispered in awe. "Look at what you're becoming." The transformation swept through humanity like a wave. On every colony, every ship, humans began to shift, their consciousness expanding, merging with the quantum field itself. They weren't losing their individuality. They were transcending it, becoming part of something vast and beautiful and impossible to describe in conventional terms. The Aurora itself began to change, its matter interweaving with dark matter, becoming something that existed in all quantum states simultaneously. Through the network, David could feel every member of his crew, every human in the solar system, as they evolved together. "Send one last message to the Hegemony," David commanded, his voice resonating through quantum fields rather than air. Tell them that the universe isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be explored, to be understood, to be become one with." Maya's consciousness expanded through the network, touching the minds of the precursors, understanding at last the true nature of existence. "We're not leaving humanity behind," she realized. "We're taking it with us, evolving it into something greater." The Hegemony fleet could only watch as humanity transcended before their eyes. The Aurora, once a simple starship, became a quantum entity, existing everywhere and nowhere, its crew transformed into beings of pure consciousness and dark matter. Through the network, they could see everything. Past, present, future, all existing simultaneously in the quantum foam of reality. They were still human, but also something more. Something that could touch the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Kavol stood at the threshold between states, watching in wonder. "You've done it. You've actually done it. You've shown the galaxy another way." The transformation complete, humanity existed now as both matter and energy, consciousness and quantum field, individual and collective. Through the network, they reached out to the Hegemony not in judgment or triumph, but in invitation. The universe is vast. David's consciousness resonated through the quantum field, and it's waiting for all of us to understand it, to become one with it. The hierarchy was never needed, only the courage to evolve. Above Earth, the Aurora hung suspended in spacetime, a bridge between what humanity had been and what it had become. The Hegemony fleet slowly lowered their weapons, their sensors trying to comprehend what they were witnessing. Through the quantum tiers, through the network that now spanned not just space but consciousness itself, humanity reached out to touch the stars. They had not just broken the protocols, they had transcended them, showing the galaxy that evolution knew no bounds. The silent stars were silent no more, and humanity, in choosing to answer their call, had become something extraordinary. Not lost, not gone, but transformed into something that could dance among the quantum fields of reality itself, forever exploring, forever evolving, forever free.